So this is my new book, Riding Shotgun on the Normal Stage by F. Richard Allen, and I thought maybe I'd just read the first chapter to you. I appreciate your attention. It doesn't take that long, and I'll give you an idea of what the book is about, and hopefully spark your interest. Chapter 1. It was April in Fort Worth, Texas. It was hot late into the night. Now most of the bars were empty, but the one Isidro worked in was still open. He was sweeping the floor when he heard the commotion at the poker table in the corner. They had played for many hours, and Isidro had cleaned their table and swept the floor next to them, and had even brought them a bottle when the barkeep asked him to. A tall man named Clarence, with a scar on his face, stood across from a seated, skinny, bearded man named Bender. Bender was a man who growled whatever he said. It was nearly daylight, and the four men at the table had been playing poker all night, which is why Isidro knew their names. Clarence said, "You can't have three aces if I have two." Bender said, "Three aces win no matter what." Clarence said, "I've been watching you cheat all night. Now I'm telling you, leave your money on the table and clear out." "Or what?" "You know what." Isidro looked around. Besides the four men at the table, there was a whore near the bar, the bartender, and Isidro with his broom. This was all new to Isidro, who was from the Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico. He had stopped in El Paso for a day or two and then come to Fort Worth. He and his family had lived in the Barranca, on the side of hills, raising goats, growing corn, living in small huts for shelter. Such things as barrooms, big towns like Fort Worth, gunfights, whores, whiskey, even sweeping wooden floors were all new to Isidro. Bender said, "Okay, I'm out of here, damn Yankee. I'll leave. I didn't cheat, I tell you, but I'll go just to avoid any trouble." Clarence just watched. Bender stood, straightened his hat with his left hand, and as he did, his right hand, now on the far side of his body from Clarence, moved down to his gun. As he slipped behind one of the seated men at the table, he pulled his pistol, turned, and shot at Clarence. The sound was loud in the small space. Isidro had a clear picture of what happened next. There was one lamp lit right over the table. The light shone down on a bottle of whiskey, half empty, four glasses, cards face down on the table, coins and bills in a pile. With the gunshot, the two seated men scrambled up and away from their chairs, while Clarence stood comfortably with his hand near his holster. He didn't look surprised that the bullet from Bender's gun had completely missed him from such a short distance away. While Bender was pulling back the hammer on his old Griswold pistol for his second shot, Clarence pulled and fired, shooting Bender in the chest. They laid Bender out on the table and waited for him to die. Clarence and the two poker players stood at the bar having a final drink. One of the men told Clarence that Bender was part of a gang called the Kilgore Brothers, and that it didn't matter that it was a fair fight, he had better clear out of Fort Worth. They would be coming after him. At one point, Bender came to and let out a moan. Clarence crossed to him and said, "Can I help you out?" "I'm dying. You killed me." "Well, you tried to kill me first, remember?" "Give me a drink, will you?" "Sure." Clarence brought the bottle over to the table Bender was stretched out on. He was turned on his side, one hand on his chest, trying to keep the blood from leaving his body. Isidro had put Bender's hat under his head to make him more comfortable. Clarence poured him a drink and said, "I hear your brothers will be after me for killing you. You think that's true?" "Sure it's true, and they'll kill you for certain. You're just as dead as I am." "Yeah, but I have longer to live." Bender laughed at that, then choked on the blood in his throat. Clarence pulled him up so he could breathe. Now it was full daylight, and Isidro could hear the wagons in the street. The other two poker players had left, the whore had gone upstairs, and the bartender had gone back to his cot to get some sleep. Bender coughed some more, moaned in pain, and then suddenly just died. Clarence laid him back down and turned to the only other person in the room and said, "Will you get the stable man to come take care of him? I hear he builds the caskets." Isidro said, "Si, senor." There was a lot of blood for Isidro to clean up. Clarence gave him some money for the extra work of cleaning up after the man he had killed. I'm going to read you a little bit of chapter 2, which tells you a little bit more about Isidro. When Isidro had first left his village and gone into El Paso, he went immediately to the Mexican sector of town, and when he saw a man with a burro resting in the narrow shade of a church, he said to the man in Spanish, "I need a place to stay." The man looked up at him from under his sombrero, and then looked down again. Isidro shrugged and moved on down the street to the door of the church and went in. A padre was just walking through the church when Isidro entered, and Isidro said, "Pardon me, padre." The padre, a stooped, heavy old man, moved to Isidro, and as he got closer, he slowed down, peered carefully at Isidro, crossed himself, and said, "What do you want?" Isidro said, "Just a place to stay." The padre said, "Why did you come here?" Isidro said, "I'm just passing through. I'll only spend the night." The padre said, "No one wants you here." Isidro was surprised. Where he came from, people were often reticent, but seldom rude. He said, "Why is that? I mean no harm. I just want a meal and a place to lay down. I can work." The padre said, "Come with me." He turned and entered a small door which led to his bedchamber. Isidro followed him. The padre sat on the bed and pointed to the one chair in the room. The padre said, "It has happened over the years that some people have come from your tribe, the Tarahumara, and tried to find a place here to live and work. It never works out." Isidro raised his eyebrows. The padre said, "It is hard for us to see ourselves as others see us, but the Tarahumara terrify everyone." "Oh, I don't understand." "No one else hunts their prey by running them into the ground. No human wants to be hunted down in that way. Normally they use horses and guns and knives, bows and arrows. They sneak up on each other if they want to kill someone. They use rifles from long distances. No other kind of man hunts like the Tarahumara. So when you leave your village and come out into the rest of the world, everyone is terrified of you by the fierce killers of your tribe, and they will do you harm from that fear. I have seen it." "How do you know what tribe I am from?" "Everyone knows the look of the Tarahumara. They are as black as the wet mud in the bottom of the pond. You have the sharp knife nose and those black eyes and very black hair. You all go barefoot, and finally your men wear the white breechcloth. Very unusual." "I will get pants." "Oh, that will solve the problem, I'm sure." With the help of the padre, Isidro found some pants and some sandals and was able to work for a couple of days around the church. Then it was time to move on. He put his pants and sandals in a small bag, and one morning he started to run across the desert towards Fort Worth. Before he got to Fort Worth, he removed his breechcloth, put on his pants and sandals, and walked into town with his head down. This time he was told that he could get a job working in a saloon. Nobody wanted to work in saloons because there were many gunfights. Okay, so I invite you to take a look at the book on Amazon.com. You can get it on Kindle for $2.99. You can get a paperback version like this for $11.99, or if you belong to Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free, like a library situation. Anyway, I hope you do enjoy, and thanks for listening. Have a good day.